Hello, welcome, and thanks for joining me. Today we're going to be taking a tour of Eagan, Minnesota. Eagan is a southern suburb of the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul, and in this tour we're going to be looking at some retail areas, schools, parks, and a few neighborhoods. So stay tuned and join me for a top-down tour of Eagan, Minnesota. Welcome. What you're looking at right now is a view of the public boat access and dock on the southeastern bank of the Minnesota River. The Minnesota River runs right along the edge of Eagan, kind of on the northwest side. And in this video, we're going to start here and kind of do a loop of the south and southwestern portions of Eagan, Minnesota, starting in a really historical area. Certainly, we are kind of right where development started. The city of Mendota or the village of Mendota is right up the river. Bloomington is on the other side. And what we're driving under right now is the Highway 77 Cedar Avenue Bridge, which was built in 1980, or I should say completed in 1980. And prior to this bridge being built, the main access into Eagan and point south like Appa Valley was a little two-lane road that ran over a couple of bridges on the Minnesota River, one of which was kind of a swing bridge that if you were waiting in line to get across this bridge, you'd be waiting if the bridge had to swing to the side to allow some barge traffic to go by. So that bridge ended its usage in 1980 when this new bridge was built. But me, being a resident of Appa Valley, since probably 1973 when I was brought back from the hospital, I do recall going across that two-lane wooden planked bridge to get between the city and the suburbs. So we are literally on the track right now of the original Cedar Avenue that ran from the bridge behind me on this very same road across some railroad tracks and crossed first into Eagan and then further south into Appa Valley. So we're kind of tracing the historic beginning, the historic beginning of the suburb of Eagan. So join me, and I hope it should be an interesting tour. Right now we're headed south on Nicols Road, formerly Cedar Avenue. We're gonna turn into Silver Bell Road, and the first attraction we're gonna see on our tour is the new Eagan Outlet Center, which was built probably 3 to 4 years ago, and as the timing of this video being June of 2021, shortly before that, a few years earlier. So we're coming up to the bridge at Nicols Station, which was a train station, I guess, in the 1800s, early 1900s. Nothing is left, but apparently I think there was a little town here. And Black Dog Lake is just to our southwest, and there was a Native American village there in the 1800s that was right alongside that lake. Now, on the island out there, we've got the Xcel Energy power plant that used to burn coal, now burns natural gas, but the barges would bring in coal to power that plant and run electricity all through the South Metro. So we're leaving Nicols Road. If you look straight ahead, that would have been where Cedar Avenue eventually crossed Highway 13 and went over by the Cedar Vale Shopping Center, which is a shopping center that was built in the late 60s or early 70s, an indoor mall that was around for, I don't know, maybe 30, 35 years. It eventually went defunct probably in the 2010s and was torn down and replaced by the Eagan Outlet Center, which we're going to be getting a glimpse of in a second. So as we drive out of the old riverbank area, we're going past some apartments and condos and some industrial buildings some of which have been here since the 70s, and a lot of these industrial buildings are newer and just offices, warehouses, things like that. So we're going to be looping around, and momentarily we will be looking at the Eagan Outlet Center. As we pull up to the red light, I anticipate we'll be waiting a little bit, so I'll pause the video here and pick up momentarily. We are back crossing Highway 13, formerly known as Sibley Memorial Highway, from Silver Bell Road, and we're going to be taking a right onto, again, what's called Nicols Road, but this is kind of the perimeter road that runs around the Eagan Outlet Mall, and you'll be looking at some new apartment buildings that were built probably in the last 5 to 10 years, and in the last 3 to 5 years as we pull up to the buildings ahead. This is the location now of the Eagan Outlet Center, where we've got obviously a bunch of name brand stores supposedly selling at a discount. Let me get a glimpse over here. Formerly Jensen's Supper Club, now it's just Jensen's, but that's actually one of my favorite restaurants in town. Family owned, has a supper club feeling, great cocktails, great service, and excellent food. This now is the Eagan Outlet Center, and you can see Saks Fifth Avenue, Armani Outlets, True Religion jeans, Nike's shops, etc. So this being built about 3 to 5 years ago is sitting atop the former location of the Cedar Vale Mall, which I had mentioned was built in the late 60s or early 70s and was not a super attractive place, but it was one of the earlier indoor malls in the city, and it wasn't super large, didn't really have any anchor stores besides some offices at one end, a large drugstore, and a grocery store. Had a 2-story fountain that didn't go up 2 stories, but went down into the basement 2 stories. And, there was a hairstylist there, shoe repair, Radio Shack, pet store, and I can't remember whatever else, although as a little kid, I did have the occasion to shop at the Cedar Vale shopping center. We're going to be taking a left and heading east on Bodaroo Drive, which used to be one of the main roads that ran through the Cedar Vale area. Now it's more of a residential area next to some condos and some townhomes. And sitting right off this used to be a movie theater back in the 70s. And I'm pretty sure I saw the movie Benji at the movie theater, which had formerly been a dance hall and formerly probably been nothing. So here driving down Bodaroo Drive, we've got the Fairfield by Marriott and more hotels and apartments that are opening up in this area. So when they put the new outlet center in this section of Eagan, which essentially was one of the earliest developed spaces in the city of Eagan, the suburb. Eagan was actually established or founded in 1860, incorporated in 1972. So it was really the 70s when the suburb of Eagan started to grow up. But since they put that shopping mall in, we've had tons of development. So you kind of take the oldest area of the city that had just gotten pretty run down and defunct and useless, and we end up with this great opportunity to get rid of the old stuff and build the new stuff. And that's kind of cool because it's a very convenient location. In fact, from where we started, just on the other side of that bridge that we were under, the Cedar Avenue Highway 77 bridge, is the Mall of America. We're about 10 minutes away from the Mall of America right now. Cedar Vale Lanes in the distance has been here since the 70s, and I've been told, I'm not a big bowler myself, but I'm told they have some of the finest natural wood lanes in the area, and they've got Fitz's Restaurant, excellent food, beer and cocktails. They've got sand volleyball in the summertime, so that's kind of a neat place to have around. We are heading south on Ron Road, and we're going to be driving into the Cedar Grove development, which was one of the earlier suburban neighborhoods in the city of Eagan, kind of stemming from the development back here at the original Cedar Road and Highway 13. We're going to be turning and heading east on Carnelian Lane towards Blackhawk Road. And Carnelian is a totally residential road, but it is a straight through way through the Cedar Grove neighborhood. So let me turn the camera, you can get a look at some of these homes. Mainly built in the late 60s and early 70s. A lot of these homes you'll see have or had single car garages, in some cases detached garages, which I don't think they've been building homes in the South Metro with detached garages since the 70s. So it is an older neighborhood, but still very well kept up. Very modest homes here, probably 1,500 to 2,500 square feet, though some have been built up and enlarged over the neighborhood. Over the years in the neighborhood. People over here, they've got a third garage stall, probably added 2 onto their original single stall. Obviously lots of mature trees with a neighborhood that has been around so long. Kind of one of the earlier concept subdivisions in the South Metro, Cedar Grove. Oh, and I should mention the homes in this neighborhood right now in the early part of 2021 probably are selling, well, not probably, I know they are, selling in the $300,000 to $400,000 range. And this neighborhood, for the most part, is located in the Burnsville School District. However, most of the homes on our tour of Southwest Eagan today will be in the Eagan-Apple Valley-Rosemont School District 196, but right now we are in the Burnsville School District. And we're going to be coming up on Carnelian Park here on the south side of the road. Playground, green space, ball fields, walking trails. Not a huge park, especially compared to some of the other parks we will be seeing on our tour today. All right, we're pulling up the Blackhawk Road. We're turning north. North onto Blackhawk, and then we're going to be heading east again on Deerwood Drive. Okay, stop sign at Deerwood, we're going to be heading east. So in addition to the Cedar Avenue Bridge, the new mega bridge being completed in 1980, one of the reasons that Eagan took so long to fully develop, as we're going to get into neighborhoods that were built in the 80s, 90s, and even the 2000s, was because the final section of Interstate 35E, running basically from the intersection with the original 35, which is now 35W, up to West St. Paul in the St. Paul area, wasn't completed till 1985. And when that section got completed, that led to much more development further on the northeast side of Eagan. So between those two bridges, 1980 and 1985, that's what really prompted a lot of the development. And I mention that because, as you see ahead before we turn into the Murphy Farm development, that is the bridge over 35E. So we are now on Murphy Parkway, and we've got a couple neighborhoods back here, Blackhawk Pond and Murphy Farms. And what I'm going to do is let's go all the way down to the end of this cul-de-sac, and you can actually see the sound wall on 35E beyond that berm of trees and grass. So as we get a little further away from the freeway, we're going to see some much larger homes, 3,000 to 4,000 square feet, generally built in the 1990s and priced nowadays in early 2021 around the $500,000 to $700,000 range, with some homes a little higher depending on the lot and location and size of the home. And as we pull into these developments, most of these homes now are located in District 196, which is kind of a premier, well-regarded school district that a lot of folks with families in this area prefer to be in if possible. And we'll be hitting the end of the cul-de-sac, looping back, and we're going to get a look at Blackhawk Park. saw the for sale sign there, I believe that is priced up at above $700,000 right now. I'll introduce myself while we're returning out of this neighborhood on our way to Blackhawk Park. My name is Kevin Huntington, and I'm the managing broker of the independent real estate company Metro Home Connection Realty, which was established in 2005, and I've been in real estate just before that. But a lifelong resident of the Twin Cities, Eagan resident currently, and Eagan resident in my early years. Grew up in Apple Valley, so kind of lived in the Twin Cities my whole life, most of which was spent in the South Metro. So we'll see a lot of this today, but we've got some nice curving streets, hills, mature trees. We'll be seeing some very beautiful neighborhoods today, along with some awesome parks. The first one we're going to be entering momentarily when we get up to the top of the hill. All right, we are turning into Blackhawk Park. And the neat thing about this park, there's actually a lake. Blackhawk Lake is back here. It's not a huge lake. It's not a recreational lake. Certainly you could put a canoe or a kayak in. Much of it is surrounded by the backs of homes, although there are walking paths around much of this lake, and walking paths through grassy areas and trees. But I always think it's such a unique thing. Like, we're really in the heart of the suburban subdivision development of the city of Eagan, and how cool is it to have a park like this sitting right in the middle of everything with a lake and walking paths, and you just feel really like you're out here in nature. You can bike or rollerblade on these paths. There's a big picnic pavilion, and just due to the layout of the lake, we're not actually getting a look at the lake, but suffice to say it's kind of a smaller lake with homes backing up it, and there's a backing up against it, and there's a little pedestrian bridge that kind of bisects the north and south portions of Blackhawk Lake. And there's even some unpaved trails that go back into the woods. Kind of fun for kids to explore. So this is Blackhawk Park. We're exiting the park. And we'll be leaving Murphy Farms, Blackhawk Pond, meeting back up with Deerwood Drive, and crossing over 35E. And at this point in the neighborhood, there is not an access onto the freeway, just the bridge going over it. But short, a little ways to the north and a little ways to the south, there is of course access onto the freeway. And 35E from Eagan takes you into downtown St. Paul, and also a short drive up to Highway 494, which is kind of the Beltway loop, 494 and 694 around the Twin Cities. So from Eagan, between Cedar Avenue, Highway 77, and 35E, excellent access into both downtowns of Minneapolis and St. Paul. Again, we're about 10 minutes from the Mall of America, 15 to 20 minutes to the International Airport. We're crossing now the bridge over 35E. Continuing south on Johnny Cake Ridge Road. So as we pull through here, we'll be seeing townhomes on either side of the road, and some single families, but mainly we're in the Oakbrooke development, which is a development of detached townhomes. So obviously that means that they're not attached. So they look like single families, but they're all in association, and then that association covers a lot of the grounds maintenance and snow removal, etc., sanitation. This neighborhood is built in the 2000s, and the prices on most of these detached townhomes currently, right now in the early 2021, are running about $350,000 to $450,000, and they're pretty good-sized detached townhomes. Many are one level, some are two level with the basement, but between 2,500 and 3,000 finished square feet, and very convenient with excellent access onto 35E, which will be nearer as we get closer to Diffley Road. And that's Diffley at this intersection up ahead. One of the nice things about Eagan is we do have a main downtown in the northern corner or the northern part of the city, but we also have these kind of newer, smaller strip mall areas built kind of probably in the 90s, where we've got, here you can see right here, got some strip malls which, you know, have some nice features, good restaurants. We've got the CVS pharmacy over here, and you can't see it, but there's a Kowalski's Market kind of in the back over here, so you don't actually have to drive all the way into the downtown of Eagan in order to get groceries or go to a restaurant or get some food. And because these buildings were built up generally in the 90s and later, the zoning laws, like it or not, the zoning laws have kind of forced some different features onto the properties where there are more trees and more shrubs, more brick, and kind of more attractive exteriors. So it's kind of nice now to have these little malls in the neighborhood. They're not an eyesore, and they're very functional and useful. So now we are still headed south on Johnny Cake Bridge Road, and let's just dive into this really unique development. We don't have a lot of these. There's kind of a development like this in Apple Valley, but this is the Summit Hill neighborhood, and we'll be in and out very quickly. So this neighborhood, these are technically detached townhomes, but there's really no yard. They're kind of in little quad-style developments where there's little sections of 4 homes. They kind of have this old-style look with front porches. The garages, here you can kind of get a glimpse at the garage. The garages are kind of hidden in the back. Not a lot of common space out here with these townhomes so close together, but there's a little boulevard area between. Get a look at that, with some shared common space. But built in the early 2000s, these homes are about 3,000 finished square feet with basements, and there's one for sale right now. Prices run right now in 2021 in the $400,000 to $500,000 range. But this is just Summit Hill. It's just a little loop. We go in and we go out, but kind of a unique development that we have in Eagan, and we really don't have a lot of others like this. So we'll take back off onto Johnny Cake Bridge Road, and as we do, we're going to be coming past. You can see over that berm Oak Ridge Elementary. I guess you can't see it that well, but that's an elementary school that serves the neighborhood. And just like the kind of little malls and the grocery stores in the neighborhood, a lot of the newer Eagan schools are kind of tucked into these neighborhoods as well. Although Johnny Cake Bridge Road right here is kind of a main road that runs north and south, in this area the speed limit's only 35, and we've got houses on either side of the road right here. So kind of tucked in. Nice to have the elementary school with such good access to where the families are living. So from the Minnesota River on the northwest border, we're coming up to Cliff Road, which is a main east and west road through Eagan, and I'll actually all the way through Burnsville. And when we cross Cliff, we're going to be coming to one of the really great features that is shared among, I guess, all the suburbs of the South Metro, but it is located right here in Eagan, and it is Lebanon Hills Regional Park. And the portion we're going to be going into is the Lebanon Hills Park West Trailhead, which has access for hiking into this fairly large piece of acreage, but mainly this is a very, very renowned mountain bike trail that people come from all over to ride. And I'm happy to say it's about 2 to 3 miles from my house. And I'm not a huge mountain biker, but I come out here and there are families and kids and some real serious bikers, and I'm certain if you were to Google Lebanon Hills mountain bike trail on YouTube, you'd find plenty of videos of what this place is all about. And this portion of Lebanon Hills, the bike trail, sits right at the edge of Eagan and Apple Valley to the south. So we'll pull in, get a look at the mountain bike trailhead, and then we'll be back out into some more neighborhoods. I'm going to guess, because of the heat and the fact it's a Monday, this place isn't packed. But if you come here on the weekends, literally these 2 parking lots are at overflow capacity, and you'll find some cars into the nearby neighborhoods because this is such a popular place to come. Very well groomed trails. There's a skills course, changing area and bathroom, which I'm not sure is open right now, just because we're still just finishing up the COVID-19 pandemic. But there's kind of the entrance into the trails. Here is the restroom facility. They've got fire pits, and beyond this little plaza right here is the skills course that you can just pull up, and you'll see kids like learning how to go over jumps and rocks and logs. But again, there are plenty of videos online about this. I'll be making my own. But this is the Lebanon Hills Regional Park, and this is the West Trailhead with the access to the mountain bike trails. We're going to head back out on Johnny Cake Ridge Road, and as we look ahead, you're almost getting a glimpse of Apple Valley, but we are turning onto Sherwood Way, continuing our journey west into the Brittany Neighborhood. So we're on the very south edge of Eagan, just next to Apple Valley, and this is, I think, a really neat development for a few reasons. But being built in the 80s, kind of modest homes. Right now they're selling in the $400,000 to $600,000 range, and we've got more modest homes than we've seen in the last development we're at. So we've got some split entries, multi-level splits, ramblers, some 2 stories, but the homes you're looking at right now all back up to a larger section of Lebanon Hills Regional Park. This is a county park that really stretches all the way across the southern edge of Eagan and the northern part of Apple Valley. So these lucky folks that you're seeing right now, their backyard, they'll have a regular backyard on a 3.5 acre lot, and it just stretches into the, I think, 1,800 or 1,900 and some, nearly 2,000 acre park of Lebanon Hills Regional Park. And being in 2021, we've gone through there's a little path that goes right into the park. We've gone through some interesting times in the real estate market. And this home that we're passing right here, that one, great house, backs up to the park, big yard, and just trees beyond. Sold in multiple offers in 2 days for, it was around $90,000 over list price. So I think it was priced too low to begin with. I wonder if they really weren't taking into consideration the added benefit of Lebanon Hills Regional Park in the background, basically a 2,000 acre nature wonderland. But in any case, the demand for that house was very high, and it sold quickly at a much higher price than apparently the sellers expected. Although if they would have talked to me, I think I wouldn't have priced it that low. These homes also selling, and they're like ponds and hills, so these for the most part are walkout homes here too. But if you just look around, you feel like you're almost back in the middle of the park with these hills and these mature trees. And there are interior roads to this neighborhood as well, but we're just kind of following along the perimeter of the park. We're turning onto Covington Lane. Lots of neat looking houses back here. Great neighborhood. All right, we're going to be coming into the Stonecliffe development off Stonecliffe Drive. This is going to take us back up to Cliff Road. But Stonecliffe is a bit of a newer development. These homes were built closer to the 90s, even into the late 90s, and the prices back here are a little higher in kind of the $600,000 to $800,000 range. And I think some even go up beyond that, but easily $600,000 to $700,000, and then up to $700,000 and beyond. But you'll also notice with the newer neighborhood, the trees aren't quite as filled in, as mature as they were in Brittany. So I think they're both great neighborhoods. But the newer the neighborhood, the usually less tree coverage, or less coverage by mature trees. We are exiting here onto Cliff Road, and we're going to be heading east. And again, Cliff is a main east to west corridor road that runs from Burnsville all the way through Eagan, and we really are running nearly right along the southern edge. This is really the last main road that is on the southern part of Eagan. So if you look on a map, we are running right along the south side of Eagan. We do have some home developments right now on the south side of the road, but as soon as we get across Pilot Knob, we're going to be coming up to an additional section of Lebanon Hills Regional Park. We're at the intersection of Pilot Knob Road, which is a main north and south corridor that does run all the way south into Rosemount and Farmington. And if we were to take a left here and head north, we would be going right into downtown Eagan and up to eventually to Highway 494. So now we've just crossed Pilot Knob Road. We're continuing to head east, and we're going to be jumping into another access point to Lebanon Hills Regional Park. As soon as we get over the hills here. So thanks for joining me on this tour. It's just a great day to be driving around with the top down. And I've started to do more and more of these tours for YouTube, just because I feel for anybody who's considering moving into a new neighborhood, a new suburb, a new development, either outside of the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul, or they're coming in from out of state, I'm hoping that tours like this give you a good idea of what really the feel of a neighborhood in a town, or a suburb in this case, is like, getting a true on-the-ground look at what the features are, the layout, and literally kind of what it feels like to live here and drive around. We are turning into the Holland Lake access and picnic area on the north edge of Lebanon Hills Regional Park. And this section of the park was recently, and by recently I guess probably the last 3 to 5 years, redeveloped. It used to be just a little tiny road with some angled parking spots and a fishing pier at the bottom of the hill. And back in the 80s, this was a popular spot where people, especially teenagers like myself at the time, would come and swim, and they would have, or we would have, the lake, the small lake, Holland Lake down there, would be covered with inner tubes and air mattresses. And you'll get a glimpse of the lake in the picnic shelter, but there is a bit of a grassy hill until you get down there. But there's a very large fishing dock, and there are fish to be caught. I believe I've caught fish in this lake myself. But in addition to the lake being here, this is another access point, not for biking, but for hiking on the trails of Lebanon Hills. And for the most part, the section that we're at right now is unobstructed, not divided by any main roads. So you can just go back there and walk miles of trails and ponds and lakes back there, kayaking, canoeing. The ponds and lakes aren't huge, so it's not like Boundary Waters, but it is a very unique and fun feature to have located right here in the city of Eagan. People come from all over to make use of this park. In fact, they even have, on the Apple Valley side, they do have a campground and an RV park, which I don't have a video up yet, but I will be taking a specific video of that campground, because that is also a really unique feature to have. You're able to go camping literally 4 to 5 miles, or in my case 3 miles from my house, and you feel like you're in a state park. All right, we are crossing Cliff Road and headed north on Lexington. And this is Lexington's a main road that runs all the way north and south through Eagan into Mendota Heights. So this bisects the entire city, generally almost right in the middle. Pilot Knob's probably right in the middle. We're a little further east than that. But gives you a good look of what a main road through Eagan looks like. Trees, walking/bike paths, neighborhoods off to the side, and plenty of parks and green space in Eagan. And as we get to the top of the hill up here, we'll be coming up to another one of those smaller retail developments with restaurants, a Cub grocery store, Holiday gas station, a Walgreens. We've got Goat Hill Park to the left, and then we come up to the Lexington Diffley Athletic Fields, Eagan Water Tower. Sorry, I'm going to whip you over to the right. This is the Eagan Arms Public House. It's a new privately owned restaurant in Eagan. I always think it's fun to have independent restaurants. When you get downtown, you've got Applebee's and Chili's and the better known places, the national brands. But Eagan Arms is a family-owned business. They started out with a restaurant called Merlin's Rest in South Minneapolis, and about a year ago they opened the Eagan Arms Public House. It's an Irish-themed bar with a huge selection of whiskeys. Still headed north on Lexington, and we're going to take a turn off into the Patrick Eagan Park and Patrick Eagan Park Art House, or the Eagan Art House, which is a really unique thing to have in your city. And Patrick Eagan Park is another very large natural area, generally sitting right in the heart of Eagan. There are 2 lakes back there, kind of surrounded by neighborhoods. But hiking and walking trails, a kind of cool nature-style playground with kind of, not a ropes course, but some ropes to climb on and some trees and rocks for kids. So we'll take a look back there. Good sized parking lot. So not a mountain bike trail here, but plenty of natural trails that go out into the woods, and we're literally right almost in the heart of Eagan, where we're at right now. So how fun is it to be so close to the downtown metropolitan area and just a very nearby suburb and have another park like this? And look, there's not anybody here right now. I feel like a lot of Eagan trails, and they know about Lebanon Hills, but the Patrick Eagan Park I think gets a little overlooked because it's smaller. But you walk down these trails down along the ponds and the lakes in the woods, and you just kind of feel like you're in the middle of nowhere. I love it. And they've got a new picnic pavilion here, and you can kind of see that it's called the Nature Play Playground. Some ropes, there's a zip line here, and kind of some log benches. But this is just a little playground area, but plenty of walking trails in the woods. As we drive out, you're going to get a look at the Eagan Art House, which at some point, I'm not sure when, was a privately owned home sitting right on the edge of the park, and it was purchased by the city of Eagan, and now they call it the Eagan Art House. And they've got at least one festival they have here every year with craftspeople and artists. But you get a little brochure from the city, and they've got painting and pottery and I'm not sure whatever else, but classes that you can take here right in the park, run by the city of Eagan. It's the Eagan Art House. Another super cool feature to have right in the city. We are back out onto Lexington, and we are headed north. Got a few other cool and unique suburban features to show you as we continue heading north. We're going to be turning onto Wescott Trail, but headed north, and this is Wescott Road right here. Headed north on Lexington takes you, we're only about 1.5 miles from downtown Eagan with the retail and the shopping, restaurants, but we're going to be heading back west on Wescott Road, where we'll be seeing the Municipal Center, the 1914 Town Hall, the library, and our super cool water park, Cascade Bay. Up on the top of this hill, behind the trees, farming is happening. And I'm not sure why farming is still happening here, because certainly at some point this is going to be new construction. I'm not sure what they're going to put there, but whoever owns that land is holding on to it, and I'm sure it gets more valuable every year that they own it. And they literally, I think they lease it out to smaller farm operations. No, I did not drive into the last couple elementary schools that we've gone by, but I will jump in here. This is Glacier Hills Elementary off of Wescott Road. So this is a good example of these newer schools in the city of Eagan. You notice how we kind of drove off pretty much of a side road, and we've got this drive in. This is the case with a lot of the Eagan schools. I think it's so neat. We're right here in the middle of the neighborhoods, and we've got very nice schools that are just tucked away and surrounded by playgrounds, grass, and fields and trees. And the South Metro and District 196 really is known for its schools. And the elementary school that I went to in the 70s was nice as well. But when you see the way they set up these Eagan schools, I just think I wish I could be a kid and go to a school like this. I mean, it's just set back here, like, feels like recess all day. But excellent schools, and in my opinion, I just really like the way that they're tucked back here off the main road. And it's not even a main road, it's just the side road. So that's Glacier Hills Elementary. We're back out onto Wescott, going to continue our journey west, and we're going to be coming up into a portion of the municipal facilities in the city, including the police station, the fire station, the 1914 town hall. Crossing Denmark Avenue, Denmark, we head north, goes right into downtown, right up literally to our Eagan Walmart. But Wescott is kind of a main road through the city, and look how nice it is with just the trees and the walking paths. So here's the Wescott Library, which is part of the Dakota County Library System. And this building, this library, must have been built in the early 80s, because when I was in school, especially in middle school, my options living in Napa Valley were to go to Burnsville, the Burnsville Library to do research. This is before the internet, of course. Burnsville Library to do research, or we would sometimes come up to Eagan. And this library was sitting here. There was nothing behind it, just a big kind of open valley area with trees and a field. This was a super nice, actually still is a super nice library to have in the metro. But this is where I used to go back when we had to research things through books and magazines. Straight ahead is the police station and City Hall. And in another one or more of my videos, I have the new Eagan Recreation and Civic Center, but this is the area where that used to be, and it is still the police station, but as they've expanded their offerings, they've relocated to the park and the City Civic Center, and on the northern edge of Eagan. This is our Eagan Civic Ice Arena. Get a little loop of that. So cool to have the indoor ice arenas right here. Oh, how could I miss this? This is one of the features I was meaning to take a look at. We skipped it. This is Cascade Bay, and this is an outdoor water park run by the city. And unfortunately, even though it's 95 degrees today, because of the pandemic, I believe we're still shut down over here. Oh, maybe not. Might have just opened. How exciting is that? It's a Monday, so there aren't a lot of people here, and it is in the evening time, but we'll get a glimpse of what's going on back there. Looks like there might be lifeguard training. So they are, if they're not open now, they are definitely getting ready to open. But they've got a splash pad and pools, water slides, lazy river, very nice facility here in the city of Eagan, and also a mini golf course behind this fence. So this is the Cascade Bay Waterpark, city-run water park. Very fun place to come, mainly for kids, but like we'll come here now and then, and it's just a nice place to cool off, especially on a 90-degree day like today. going to be heading out of this area back onto Pilot Knob, and we're going to be turning and heading north into the downtown area. And as we do, we've got another attraction right on the side of the road we're going to see, and that's the 1914 Eagan Town Hall. And it's still set up as a museum, and they've got, I think, educational events here now and then, but it's the original town hall from 1914. Again, the city was founded in 1860, incorporated in 1972, but there's our historic 1914 town hall. And as we head north, the road is going to be curving around Fish Lake, and we're going to be pulling into the downtown area. I want to thank you for joining me. If you've enjoyed this tour and you'd like to see more tours like this of Twin Cities suburbs or Twin Cities neighborhoods, please subscribe. If you like the video, please like it. I'm going to be putting up right now a couple of other videos that, if you enjoyed this one, I suspect you'll like those as well. We're coming around the corner, and we'll be ending right as we pull into central downtown Eagan. But in the meantime, thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next video, and have a great day.